As Israel unleashes one of its heaviest attacks yet on Lebanon, is Netanyahu testing how far he can go under the cover of a limited truce?
The IDF attacked hundreds of Hezbollah terrorists in a surprise strike at headquarters throughout Lebanon. This is the largest concentrated blow Hezbollah has suffered since the Pagers operation.
With reports of around 100 strikes in under 10 minutes, Bibi is battering Lebanon even as Washington and Tehran sell a ceasefire to the world. Despite fresh threats from Iran, IDF pounded Saida, Nabatieh and the Bekaa Valley, where civilians are already bearing the brunt of the war. With at least 80 dead and 200 injured in Beirut alone, is Israel now targeting Lebanon's civilian areas in a way that could shatter fragile ceasefire beyond repair? Israel carried out a massive bombardment on Lebanon on April 8, according to reports by Iranian outlet Press TV and regional media. Local reporting said Israel launched at least 100 separate strikes on Lebanese territory in just under 10 minutes. The attacks were described as the heaviest Israeli bombardment on Lebanon since the early weeks of March. Lebanese media reported that at least 80 people were killed and around 200 others wounded in Beirut alone. Israel also struck densely populated areas including Saida, Nabatieh and parts of the Bekaa region, according to Al Mayadeen and other outlets. Hospitals across Lebanon issued urgent calls for blood donations as casualty numbers mounted and facilities became overwhelmed. The Israeli military said Hezbollah has vacated much of its traditional stronghold in Beirut's southern suburbs, known as Defies. According to the IDF, the group is repositioning toward northern Beirut and into more mixed residential areas in the city.
The IDF attacked hundreds of Hezbollah terrorists in a surprise strike at headquarters throughout Lebanon. This is the largest concentrated blow Hezbollah has suffered since the Pagers operation. We insisted on separating the arenas between Iran and Lebanon in order to change the reality in Lebanon and remove threats from the residents in the north. We warned Naim Qassem, Hezbollah's Secretary General, that Hezbollah would pay a very high price for attacking Israel on behalf of Iran, and today we fulfilled another step in the promise. Also, the personal turn of the terrorist Naim Qassem will come. IDF forces continue to operate vigorously in Lebanon to ward off threats and thwart Hezbollah's capabilities, in accordance with the policy we have established. We promise to bring security to the residents in the north, and that is exactly what we will do.
The IDF just carried out the largest strike against Hezbollah terrorists since the beginning of Operation Roaring Lion. In just 1 minute, the IDF struck 100 Hezbollah military targets in different locations across Lebanon. The targets include command centers, missile infrastructure, and assets used by the Radwan Special Forces. This operation was based on weeks of precise intelligence and careful planning. These strikes come as Hezbollah changes the way it is operating. In recent weeks, the IDF intelligence identified Hezbollah moving beyond its usual strongholds and building positions in more areas across Lebanon, including civilian neighborhoods. Hezbollah's use of civilians as human shields is their strategy. Hezbollah dragged Lebanon into this war, and it is now trying to spread that danger to even more Lebanese communities. Our message is clear. We are fighting Hezbollah, not the people of Lebanon. We said this from day one. We will not allow Hezbollah to pose a threat to our civilians.
We are prepared, respecting the ceasefire, acting according to the directives of the political echelon, and ready to return to combat at any time, with force if required. We are prepared both for strong defense and for offense. Most of the targets we attacked were deliberately placed in the heart of a civilian population. For years, Hezbollah terrorists have turned the villages of southern Lebanon into terror villages and caused their destruction. Now they are once again hiding behind the residents of Lebanon and using them as a human shield. We will continue to attack and pursue them everywhere. We are prepared to defend the citizens of Israel. We continue to operate in Lebanon with great force, as we have demonstrated today and in recent hours. We have continued to attack, and we will continue to attack to remove any threat to the citizens of Israel. This is our only commitment, and if we need to return to attack in Iran, we will do so.
Iran responded by threatening to attack Israel, arguing that the strikes on Lebanon amounted to a violation of the new ceasefire. Pakistan, which is mediating between Washington and Tehran, has said the ceasefire agreement explicitly includes Lebanon, but Netanyahu has publicly disputed that interpretation. Netanyahu said he welcomed the US-Iran ceasefire but stressed that the truce does not include Lebanon, signaling Israel would keep striking there. His remarks followed Trump's April 7 declaration of a 2-week halt on US attacks on Iran as part of a temporary ceasefire arrangement. Israeli PMO statement read, quote, Israel supports President Trump's decision to suspend strikes against Iran for 2 weeks subject to Iran immediately opening the straits and stopping all attacks on the US, Israel and countries in the region. Israel also supports the US effort to ensure that Iran no longer poses a nuclear, missile and terror threat to America, Israel, Iran's Arab neighbors and the world. The United States has told Israel that it is committed to achieving these goals, shared by the US, Israel and Israel's regional allies, in the upcoming negotiations. The 2-week ceasefire does not include Lebanon. Soon after Netanyahu's statement, Lebanese media reported new attacks hitting areas in southern Lebanon. This escalation came as the IDF called on Lebanese civilians in the southern city of Tyre to evacuate, warning of a deteriorating security situation. In response, Iran issued a fresh warning, threatening Israel with major retaliation if it continued military operations in Lebanon. Tehran said that if firing did not stop in Lebanon, its air and missile units would bomb Tel Aviv in response. Hezbollah also issued its own warning, vowing that it would bring the enemy to its knees if attacks continued. Israel reported fresh missile attacks from Iran on the night of April 7th to 8th, just as news of a truce was confirmed, claiming the barrages had continued despite public talk of de-escalation. According to Israeli officials, Iran fired 2 to 3 distinct waves of missiles since Trump announced the ceasefire, suggesting that launches continued even after Washington's declaration. The Israeli military said some of the incoming Iranian missiles were successfully intercepted by its air defense systems, according to accounts carried by local media. The IDF also claimed that a number of those missiles were equipped with deadly cluster warheads, designed to break up in mid-air and scatter bomblets over wide urban areas. One ballistic missile attack targeting southern Israel triggered warning sirens across the region, as residents were urged to seek immediate shelter. That particular missile aimed at the south was later intercepted before impact, and authorities reported no injuries in that incident. Soon after, Iran launched additional missiles towards central and northern Israel, according to the IDF, broadening the scope of the latest barrage. Impacts were reported in central Israel, possibly caused by cluster submunitions or falling fragments from intercepted missiles, leading to multiple scattered impact sites. Rescue teams rushed to the areas where debris fell, though initial reports indicated there were no immediate casualties, only material damage. Subsequently, sirens sounded yet again in southern Israel as fresh missiles were detected and tracked inbound, keeping large parts of the country on edge. Earlier on the evening of April 7th, President Donald Trump had confirmed that a ceasefire had been agreed after more than a month of intense war with Iran. Trump announced a suspension of planned new bombing of Iran once a self-imposed deadline for that same day was reached, framing it as a step toward de-escalation. In response, Iran stated that if attacks against it stopped, it would cease defensive operations, indicating a conditional willingness to halt its own strikes. Trump stressed that the truce was contingent on Iran completely, immediately, safely reopening the Strait of Hormuz, tying the pause in fighting to restored global shipping through the key choke point. Tehran said that for the 2-week period, shipping through the Strait of Hormuz would be possible via coordination with its military, signaling that it intended to keep tight control but allow limited passage. Trump said Iran's 10-point proposal was a workable basis on which to negotiate, describing it as a serious framework for moving toward a broader settlement. He added that almost all of the various points of contention had been agreed between the US and Iran, arguing that only a few outstanding issues remained. According to Trump, the 2-week period will allow the agreement to be finalized and consummated, portraying the ceasefire as a window to lock in a more durable deal. For its part, Iran said its decision was based on a US request to negotiate on a broader 15-point proposal. Iran also emphasized that Washington had accepted Tehran's 10-point draft as a framework for discussions. Trump also noted that the truce had been finalized based on talks with Pakistan's Prime Minister and Army Chief, highlighting Islamabad's behind-the-scenes role in mediating between Washington and Tehran.